Hi, and welcome back to Just Another Stitch. This video marks week 2 of the Frankie Scarf Crochet-A-Long. So on today's video, you are going to need your gray yarn for this part. You will also need black yarn. And you will need your green yarn again. And you will need your darning needle, your scissors, your 5mm crochet hook, and I would recommend your tape measure. And I think that's everything you need. Okay, so at this point, your scarf should measure approximately 50 inches. I did 150 rows with the purple yarn. Now that may vary a little for you based on your tension, and this is also something you can adjust if you want to make a smaller scarf for a child. This pattern is easy to adjust. Alright, so like I said, you should have done an even amount of rows with the purple yarn. And leave that last stitch undone. And we were going to work that together since we will be incorporating the black yarn again. And basically, at this point of the scarf, you're basically going to be doing this black and green section again. But your rows will be in the opposite direction. And like I said, okay, we're going to be doing a half double crochet stitch in that last stitch. Okay, yarn over, go through the base stitch. You have 3 loops left, and you want to cut your yarn and make sure to leave a long enough tail to weave in your ends. And let's get that purple yarn out of my way. I won't be needing that anymore on the tutorial. All right, so let me get my black yarn to incorporate that back into the scarf. Okay, so wrap your black yarn around your hook and leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. All right, and just go through those 3 loops like we did before. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, and now we're just going to be doing the same thing as we were doing before. First stitch is always a slip stitch, then the repeat of the row is half double crochet, slip stitch, and you keep doing half double crochet, slip stitch until the very last stitch, and that last stitch is always a half double crochet stitch. Okay, so I'll get you started on the row, and we're going to be doing 6 rows of the black. So go through the stitch, and remember, you don't want to go through that excess right here, that loop right there. You don't go through that, you go through the stitch up here. Okay, yarn over, go through both. Now half double crochet, and a slip stitch. Okay, and you just, like I say, you keep doing that. get 6 rows of the black, and then we'll meet back up there, and that's where we're going to be going back and forth between the black and the green yarn again. So 6 rows of black. Okay, you should have your 6 rows in solid black. Okay. And you should have completed the last stitch. Now at this point, you want to make sure you get 4 balls, small balls like this, like you did before, in black. And then 3 in green. Now you may need to cut your yarn to make your balls for the black yarn. And if you do, you should know how to reattach the yarn at this point. So, hold up, let me get myself situated here. Okay. Okay, you should have your 6 rows in solid black. Okay. And you should have completed the last stitch. Now at this point, you want to make sure you get 4 balls, small balls like this, like you did before, in black. And then 3 in green. Now you may need to cut your yarn to make your balls for the black yarn. And if you do, you should know how to reattach the yarn at this point. So, hold up, let me get myself situated here. Okay. So we've done all our stitches, and we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to put our stitch marker to mark the beginning of the row. And you see, I have mine in my ball already. So that the first 6 stitches are going to be in black yarn. So let's do our slip stitch. Now we're going to do a half double crochet. Do a slip stitch. All right, that's 3. Half double crochet, 4, slip stitch, 5, and then a half double crochet. But this one, we're not going to complete the stitch. All right, you go through your base stitch, leave your 3 loops, and this is where you're going to grab your green yarn. All right, so just wrap it around and go through the 3 loops. Okay, let me pull that to have a bigger tail. Okay, so now we're going to do 5 stitches in green. Okay, we're on a slip stitch. Okay, 1 half double. Oops, I messed up there. I forgot to yarn over. All right, half double crochet here. 2 slip stitch, That's 3 stitches, half double, that's 4, and a slip stitch. All right, you go through your base. Now you want to grab your other ball of black yarn to finish the stitch. Wrap around your crochet hook. All right. Go through the rest of the loops. And now we're going to start doing the black yarn stitches. And we're going to be doing 4 stitches in black. All right, we're on a half double. Slip stitch. Okay, we're going to be doing 5 stitches with the green yarn. So we're going to start off with a half double crochet. Find my stitch. And let me pull these tighter in the back. All right. Now we're going to do a slip stitch. So that's 2, half double. I forgot to yarn over again. All right. Now a slip stitch. That's 4 and a half double. And we're not going to finish off the half double. We leave our 3 loops on. And now we grab our last ball of black yarn. Wrap it around your crochet hook. All right, finish the stitch. And now we're going to do the last 6 stitches in black. Half double. Slip stitch. Half double. Slip stitch. And the last stitch is a half double. Let me take that stitch marker out. Okay, and we got Buddy. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. As y'all can see, Buddy has taken over my Frankie Scarf. So I guess that means it's break time from filming. So I'll be back shortly to finish filming. And at this point, I would recommend getting your balls of yarn untangled and everything and organized. That way you grab the right one and they don't get in your way. Okay, I'm inserting my crochet hook and attaching my stitch marker. All right, we're doing the same thing on the last that we did on the last row here. Same exact thing. We're going to have a total of 4 rows that have both black and green on it. All right, so we're going to do the first 6 stitches in black. So slip stitch into that first stitch. All right, now half double crochet into the next. Another slip stitch. Half double crochet. Slip stitch. And a half double crochet in the 6th stitch. And remember, don't finish it. Leave you 3 loops. All right, now I'm going to grab my green yarn. And I'm going to finish the stitch. All right. So in the next 5 stitches, I'll be working in green. So we're going to do a slip stitch. Half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, all right. And now we're going to do a slip stitch, but we're not going to finish the stitch. Now we're going to incorporate the black yarn. Let me find it. Okay. All right, so we finished off that stitch. Now we're going to do the next 4 stitches in black yarn. Half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, and then a slip, but we're not going to finish it off. We're going to incorporate the green yarn. Let's find the one I need. Here it is. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do a half double crochet. The next 4 stitches are going to be in green. 1 slip stitch, half double crochet, and this one's going to be a slip stitch. But remember, we don't finish it off. We're going to grab our black yarn. and finish the stitch off. Get this tighter. Okay. Now the next 4 stitches are going to be in black yarn. So half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, and slip stitch, but we're not going to finish it off. Now we're going to grab the green yarn to finish it. Okay, and let's pull these. All right. So the next 5 stitches are in green. So half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, okay, half double crochet. Yeah, I got it. But we're not going to finish that off in the green, that is. Now we grab our black yarn and finish it. Make sure everything's good and tight. All right, so the final 6 stitches are done in black yarn. Oops. We're going to do a slip stitch in the first black stitch, then a half double, slip stitch, half double, slip stitch. All right, and then that last stitch is going to be a half double. I'm going to have to take that stitch marker out. All right, chain 1 and return our work and reorganize our yarn again. Okay, let's attach that stitch marker. Okay, we're gonna slip stitch in that first stitch, half double in the second, okay, slip stitch in the third, half double in the next, slip stitch, okay, and in the sixth stitch we start a half double, but remember, don't finish. The first 6 stitches are in black. Then the next 5 stitches after we finish this one will be in green, but we're incorporating the green right here. All right, so next 5 is green, so half double. I'm sorry, that was a slip stitch right there, sorry. Now we're doing the half double. Slip stitch. Half double. And slip stitch. But we don't finish it. Let's grab the next black yarn. And we're going to finish it with the black yarn. Okay, now we're going to do a half double. All right, now we do a slip stitch, half double, slip stitch, but don't finish it. We're going to grab the next green. And that black section was 4 stitches we just did. All right, finish it off. All right, now we're going to do 4 stitches in green. So half double, slip stitch, half double, slip stitch, but we don't finish it off. Let's grab our black yarn now and finish it. Okay, the next 4 stitches are gonna be in black yarn, so half double, oops, slip stitch, half double, and slip stitch. Okay. We're not going to finish the stitch in black. We're going to grab our green yarn and finish it. Okay, so the next stitch is going to be a half double, and you have 5 stitches with the green. Slip stitch, half double, slip stitch, and a half double, but don't finish, leave your 3 loops on. And now we're gonna grab that last ball of black yarn. And I think that's the wrong yarn there. Okay, there I go. Hold up a minute. Alright, get my green yarn situated right. Alright, so we finish off that stitch, and the last 6 stitches are in black, so we're going to do a half double. I'm sorry, not a half, slip stitch, I'm sorry. Now a half double. Slip stitch. Half double. Slip stitch. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. Alright, that last stitch is a half double. Chain 1 and turn your work. And reorganize your yarn. Okay, I'm going to reattach my stitch marker, and this is the last row with 2 colors. Okay. So we're going to do a slip stitch in that first stitch. The first 6 stitches are in black. Now a half double. Slip stitch. Half double. Slip stitch. And start a half double. Okay, so you can cut this black yarn now. Just leave a long enough tail to weave in your ends. All right, grab your green yarn and finish that stitch. So the next 5 stitches are going to be in green yarn. All right, so we're going to do a half double, and that, no, I'm sorry, we're going to do a slip stitch. Sorry, it's slip stitch. Slip stitch. Now a half double. Slip stitch. Half double. All right. Start a slip stitch, but don't finish it. We're going to cut the green yarn, leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. And now we're going to grab the next black yarn. And finish the stitch. Alright, so the next 4 stitches are in black yarn. So we're going to do a half double. slip stitch, half double, and start a slip stitch. Leave your 2 loops on, and we're going to cut that black yarn. Now we're going to grab the green yarn, and the next 4 stitches are going to be in green. So we're going to do a half double. No, I'm sorry. First we got to complete this stitch. Sorry about that. The next 4 stitches are in green. Okay, now it's a half double. I got ahead of myself. Slip stitch, half double, and start a slip stitch. Don't finish it. We're going to cut this green yarn. All right, we're going to grab our black yarn. All right, let's finish this stitch. All right, so the next 4 stitches are in black yarn. So we're going to do a half double. Hold up. That stitch didn't do right. Let's do that half double again. There it goes. Now we're going to do a slip stitch, half double, and start a slip stitch. Okay, and we're going to cut that black yarn. And grab where's my green yarn? I think it's over here. Okay. We're going to finish this one in the green, and the next 5 stitches are going to be in green. So we're going to do a half double crochet, slip stitch, half double, slip stitch, and then start a half double. All right, leave your 3 loops on, and now we're going to cut the green yarn. And we're going to finish that stitch with the black yarn. Okay, so the last 6 stitches are going to be done in black. So this stitch here is going to be a slip stitch. Now we're going to do a half double. Okay, slip stitch, half double, slip stitch, and we're going to start a half double. Well, let me move the stitch marker out the way. Okay, we have our 3 loops, and you're going to want to cut your black yarn. All right, let's get all these yarns out of the way. Okay. So, at this point, grab your skein of green yarn. And we are going to incorporate the green. Leave a long enough tail. All right, you wrap it around your hook and just go through those 3 loops. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, now the rest of the rows are going to be in solid green. And basically, the amount of rows that you did for the first part of the scarf, that's how many rows you want to do. And if you recall, I did 30 rows plus the 2 setup rows. But since we're working in the opposite direction and the stitch is already established, I will be doing 31 rows in the stitch. And then we get to that final row, it's going to be single crochet. So basically at this point, if you don't remember how many rows you did at the beginning, keep crocheting until your piece measures about 60 inches. Make it just a tad shy of 60, because remember, you have that single crochet row. But like I said, you want them to be pretty much, you know, as close to the same size as possible. And I did. So I'm going to be doing 31 rows in solid green. And it's the same stitches. You go in, do a slip stitch. Then a half double. Slip stitch. And you just keep doing half double crochet, slip stitch, half double, slip stitch until you have that 1 stitch left, and you do a half double crochet stitch in that last stitch. And like I said, you want to get it where your whole scarf measures right at about 60 inches, or do the same amount you did over here. And like I said, I had done 30 of the repeat row and then the 2 setup rows. But that second setup row is basically the stitch. So I would be doing 31 rows in the solid green. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. And that last row, but we'll meet back up before we do the single crochet row. But yeah, do your rows and we'll meet back up, and you can complete the row because we're staying in solid green till the end of the scarf. Okay, I now have my 31 rows in green. So my piece measures, we're really close to 60 inches at this point. So I'm going to do the last row of what I call the main part of the scarf. So I'm going to do my chain 1, turn my work, and this row we're going to be doing single crochet stitches all the way across. All right. So you just do your single crochet. Go through the stitch, yarn over, go through the base, yarn over, go through both stitches. And you just keep doing that all the way across, and we'll meet back up after you do your last stitch on that row. Okay, I just did my last stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my green yarn. Again, leave a long enough tail to weave in your ends. All right. So I'm just going to basically do a chain and tighten it to secure my stitches. So we have finished the main part of the scarf. At this point, the only things we have left to do is we have to crochet 4 eyes, sew them on, crochet the bolts. Now the bolts, I'm going to do it where they're attached to the sides as we're crocheting them, so we won't have to sew those on afterwards. Then the embroidery of the face and weaving in all the ends and adding fringe, but the fringe is optional. I know some people like fringe and some people don't. So yeah, let's get started working on the eyes. Okay, so for the eyes, you want to grab your black yarn. Okay, and we're going to do a magic ring. So you want it to look like that. That's how you do a magic ring. You just tail here. Basically wrap your yarn like a circle. All right. And you want to take the piece that's connected to your skein of yarn and just go through like that. All right. So again, you leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. You wrap your yarn like that. You see how the skein, the yarn that's connected to your skein of yarn lays on top, okay? grab the piece that's connected to your skein of yarn, and you just bring it in under and over that side of the circle. Put your your crochet hook in right here. And kind of tighten it, and we're going to chain one. Okay, I'm going to grab a stitch marker. And I advise putting a stitch marker here. That way you know where your row starts, because we're working in the round. All right. So we are going to do 9 double crochet stitches into the circle. And one thing I do that makes it easier, where you don't have to weave in your end, you see how you have both yarns here? I go in under it, both of them. Okay, I yarn over. I go through both those pieces of yarn. Okay, I have 3 loops remaining, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. So that's 1. And you just keep doing the double crochets. Okay. Okay. So keep doing this until you have a total of 9 double crochet stitches, and we will meet back up once you have 9 stitches. Okay, I have my 9 double crochet stitches into the magic ring. So you want to grab your end piece and pull. Pull it real tight. You want to close up that circle. Okay? Okay. We're going to be doing a double crochet stitch into each stitch. So, okay. Let me take my stitch more. Oops. I kind of pulled on that yarn too much and snagged it, but that's okay. All right. I'm putting my stitch marker here. Okay. So I'm going to do my double crochet, yarn over, and go into that very first stitch. Yarn over, go through the base, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through the remaining 2 loops. Okay. Another double crochet into the next stitch. Okay. And you just keep doing a double crochet stitch into each stitch until you finish that 9th stitch right before the stitch marker. And we'll meet back up there. Okay. You should have your 9 stitches all the way around now. So at this point, we're going to do a slip stitch into that first stitch where the stitch marker is. Okay. So do a slip stitch. Now I'm going to take my scissors, if I can find where I put them, and cut your black yarn. But you want to leave a long enough tail so you have enough to sew on your eye. So I'm leaving a good bit. I prefer to have too much than not enough. All right. So now I'm just going to basically do a chain and go all the way through the loop to secure my stitches. All right. Let me grab my darning needle. And at this point, I'm going to weave in this end a little bit. The one that initially wasn't connected to your skein of yarn. That way, just to tighten up the center. And basically, I just kind of go through the stitches that are across from each other. I'm having trouble seeing here. All right. Do like that. I'm going to go through one more time. Okay, and now remove my darning needle. Now I'll grab my scissors and cut the yarn. All right. And basically I do that so that hole right here doesn't start to get undone. All right. So you now completed your first eye, and you want to do 3 more like we just did. So you'll have a total of 4 eyes. And we'll meet back up once you have your 4 eyes. Okay. You should now have your 4 eyes. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to sew on the eyes. And one thing I do want to mention, what you do on this part of the face, you're also going to be doing on the other side of the scarf. You're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the scarf. But I'm just going to show you how to do it on one side, okay? Because it's going to, like I said, it's the, oops, sorry about that. It's the exact same thing. And that's why you really want this section to be the same measurement. So it kind of just aligns as closely as possible. Okay. So we're going to put the eyes. Let's see. Okay, this is how I'm placing mine to try to make it as uniformly as possible. Okay, you see how you have your black area right here? And then you have where the stitch pops out. Right, you have one row here where the green pops out. Then a second row here. And then a third row. You're going to want to try to align your eyes with that third row. Where the top reaches it. Okay. And then when it comes to the sides, well, actually, hold up a minute. Let's go down. Let's see, should we go down one more? Yeah, let's go down one more, okay? So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's align it with the fourth one instead. So you see how the stitch comes out. You got 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row. We're going to align the top with that 4th row. Okay. So now for this part. All right, you have the part that pops up on the very, very side. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's try to align the edge where that 4th stitch ends, where it pops out. Let's get that side about there. Okay, one thing I did forget to mention at the beginning of the video for supplies you need, or some straight pins, or something similar where you can pin your work, your pieces, your eyes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that first, this eye here down. And this is basically just to hold the eyes in position while you're sewing. And I will mention in the initial video where I mention all the supplies that will be needed for the tutorial. So it will be mentioned early on. Everything needed for this tutorial, or knit along. Not knit along, crochet along. Sorry, I'm a knitter too. All right. So for this eye, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. You're doing the same thing with the alignment. Like I said, you have your little end, then you have where it's raised 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. So you want to line it up there. Okay. And it's right at the 4th. And I'm just going to pin this eye down now. Okay. Now, we're going to work on sewing on the eyes. Okay, you want to grab your end piece and thread your darning needle. And basically when you're sewing it on, all you're doing is you want to kind of put that first needle as close as you can. Those 9 stitches, you basically just want to, oops, there. This is kind of thick. Go through those 9 stitches. Or you may hit about every other one. The main thing is you want the eye to be securely attached. But you see how I'm going? And if your pins get in the way, you may have to adjust that a little. And at a certain point, you can take them out. Oops. See, at this point, I can just take it out. It looks like my yarn didn't quite go through there. So let me kind of go to the back to try to get that yarn. Okay. There. That should be good. That's the back side, so like I said, we just keep going around. Okay. We're almost finished the first die. Just a tiny bit more to go. little bit more. Okay. Okay. So we have the first eye attached. And what you want to do to secure everything, you just kind of want to feed your yarn and just make sure you're not going like through the front part of your work, because the last thing you want is for the yarn to show through on the front side. I'll do one more and that should be good. Okay. And then you just cut that yarn. Congratulations! Your first eye is now sewn on. Okay, so let's do the second eye together. Okay, let's thread our darning needle. All right. And really, you're doing the same exact thing. And the one nice thing with black, even if you're not like perfect, black hides it very well. Let me see. Oops. Okay, come on, yarn. And we're just going to keep going around. And luckily, the eyes are the only thing you have to sew on for this pattern. Come on. Okay, at this point, I can remove my pins. probably go through one more. Okay. Let me make sure. Yeah, it looks like it's nicely attached. Okay. So at this point, we're just basically going to secure our stitches. Okay, that should be good enough. All right, so you want to cut your yarn, and now you have your eyes attached to one side of the scarf. So at this point, what I want you to do is go to your other side of the scarf and do the exact same thing. And once you've done that, we'll meet back up there. Okay, you should now have all of your eyes sewn on. Now we're gonna embroider on the nose. So you want to grab some green yarn about that much in length. And this is a good time to use up some of the yarn you have left on those little balls that you made when we were alternating colors. So let's thread our darning needle. Okay, we want to find the center point. Oops, sorry, I'm rubbing my foot against the ottoman, if you heard that noise. Okay. So you see where the lines line up. Let's go about 2 rows down. Again, you're looking for where that stitch pops up. So about 2 down. We're going to do 2 down from the eyes, okay? And then you want to find that middle point between the eyes. So let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So you kind of want to go in between. Like after 3 stitches, that in between point. So you're going to be about right here. Okay, and you want to start like a little under that, just a tad. And you kind of want to go in about, you see how you're kind of in between that stitch? And you want to go about like that. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do to secure the end piece, I'm going to go to there and thread my darning needle. Okay. And you basically want to go like, and you want real close to where that other piece of yarn is, but you don't want to go in quite exactly there, so I don't pull everything up, and just go in like this at the bottom. Okay, now we're gonna thread the other end again. Okay. And you're basically just kind of going back and forth. In this area. Y'all see how I'm doing? Because you kind of want, the way you're embroidering it, you want it to kind of pop up. You can start seeing it do it now. And I'm just kind of going in this area. But if you look how it's, and you basically just do this until you're happy with it. And another thing too, to kind of make the nose more visible, you might want to use like a tad darker shade of green. That's another thing you can do. So you probably do it a few more times. Okay. I think this is the last. Oops. Somewhere. Let's see if I can fix that. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I think at this point you can see the nose. Okay. So I'm going to take my ends and weave it in. So basically I'm just kind of going through some stitches like this. And when you're weaving in, the main thing is that it doesn't show on the other side. I'm just kind of going back and forth here. I'll do. All right. That should be good enough. And now I cut that piece of yarn. And we'll weave in this one. And actually, I'm going to cut this little piece right here because it's making it difficult to thread my needle. Okay. And the same thing, you just go through some stitches. Now, oops, I'm working the other direction. My needle fell out. And some people are neater with weaving in ends than other people. All right, that should be good. Now we cut this piece of yarn. All right. So again, we did the nose on this side. Now you want to go to the other side and do the same exact thing. And one thing, make sure you're doing where you don't have all the yarns, because see how you have all this? That's your back side. All right, and after you get the nose done here, we'll meet back up to do the rest of the embroidery work. Okay, you now have your nose embroidered on both sides of the scarf. Now you want to grab a piece of black yarn. Let's see, I might cut it a little smaller. And now we're going to embroider the mouth and the stitches. Okay, so thread your darning needle, and let's see. Okay, you have the nose, and then you have that bump like right after that row. All right, let's go down 1, 2. Let's go down 3. And we'll go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. will go out about 5 stitches. All right. So I'm going to work under here. Okay. So you pull your yarn up. And you want to leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. Okay. And from this point, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think about here. Yeah, that looks about right. And pull through. Okay. So we're going to do this, like the stitches. And I would go about a row down. Oops. And then you got the main part of the mouth and go about right here, about a stitch up. Okay. And then I'm going over about a stitch. And doing the same thing. And basically I'm going to do that again, about a stitch over. And yours don't have to look exactly like mine. Because that's the one thing with embroidery work. Like you may want to kind of make one part where the stitch goes higher. You can kind of play with it. But I'm doing mine where I'm doing it about a stitch apart and a stitch above the mouth and a stitch underneath. Because I know that's one thing that a lot of people have a hard time doing faces. So I'm trying to walk you through it the best I can. I'll do about here. And I know sometimes some people make the mouth red on Frankie. You could also do that if you choose to. And I've seen it where some make, oops, we got Buddy. Excuse me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So we're coming up here. I'm going to come down just a tad more. Seriously, buddy? Excuse me again. Okay, I'm sorry about that, y'all. I laugh because Buddy comes to me the most when I'm trying to film a tutorial. Okay, so let's go up. And then okay. Let me pull that green piece out. Okay. Actually, I don't quite like how that one looked. Let me redo that. Okay. Put it about there, I think. I don't know, I just don't feel like this last one's standing out as much as I would like. Let me redo that whole part. And this is what you do basically if you feel like you don't quite like how it looks. You can just kind of undo like what I'm doing and redo it. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go get down here, I think. Okay. Okay, I think that will do. All right. So now you want to weave in your ends. So you just kind of go through a few stitches and make sure you're not showing on the front of your work, because you see, you don't see it going through. Okay. He's back. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my scissors and cut that piece of yarn. I do apologize about Buddy, y'all, but he's determined to be in this tutorial. All right, so thread your darning needle again, and we're basically going to do the same thing. Just weave in that end. Oops. Let's do one more. And y'all can let me know in the comments if you have a cat and if they like to help you crochet. All right. Take your darning needle off and cut that piece of yarn. Now we're going to do a stitch on the side of the face. Okay, so the mouth, like I said, is finished. Now we're working on that side stitch. So let's thread our darning needle. Okay. And let's see. I guess I'll place it about here. So basically, you have where your black is, and then you have that row where the stitch sticks out. And I'm basically at the top of that next row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like right at the end of that 5th stitch about. Okay. All right. And remember, you want to leave enough of an end so you can weave in your ends. Pull it a little more. All right. And let's see. I think I'm going to go about to here. So I'm lined up with the eye. And you see how you have that end stitch here. And then right around the beginning of that second stitch is where I'm going. Oh yeah, I think I like that. Okay. So now we're going to start doing this, the more stitch part. So I'm going to go about right here, basically a row above, right at the end of that first part of the stitch. And I think I'm going to go about here, lined up with the stitch. I mean right here where the black went in, and I'm basically 1, 2 stitches over. Well, you're at that start of the stitch and then you have the end. So I'm at the end of that next stitch after. Alrighty. Alright, then I'm going to go up a stitch basically. I guess I'll go about here, which is about a row up. And like I said, it don't have to be exactly perfect. This one I'm going to come in where you're at the end of that second stitch, about one row up. And we're going to end it about here. All right, I'll go about a stitch up and then to like the end here. And let's see. So I'm up about a row, and you see how I'm kind of like at more towards the beginning of that third stitch. Bump. Then I'll go over about here. And go to about here. And I think I'll do one more stitch. I'm kind of just like right at the top of the same stitch. And I guess I'll go about here. All right. All right. I think that looks good. So now we're going to weave in our ends for that. All right. And again, we're doing the same thing. Oh, I'm excited. We're getting closer to being finished. Because after we finish weaving in the ends for the yarn we used for the stitch, the stitches, you're just going to do that on the other side of the scarf. Then we need to do the bolts, weave in all the ends, and the fringe if you want to add fringe. All right, we'll cut that yarn. Oh, I should have probably left a little bit longer of an end here, but I should be okay. All right, I'll go ahead and cut it here. All right. So one side of the embroidery work is done. And just do it on this side. And we'll meet back up when you finish this side. Okay. At this point, you are done with the embroidery work. So both sides have the face done. And one thing I do want to point out, you notice how on one side, the stitch above the eye is on the right side, and on this side, it's on the left side. That's because the way that you wear a scarf, you want that stitch to align, where it would either be like both of them facing the inside or both of them facing the outside. And I think they both are going to put, yeah, they both will face the inside when you wear it. All right, so at this point, we are going to work on the bolts. So you want to grab your gray yarn. All right. Let's see where we're going to attach it at. Okay. I think we're going to start about where the stitch you see how the stitch is right here? I think this is a, actually let me go down one row. We'll do it more at the bottom. Yeah, I like that better. I'm just putting a stitch marker to kind of let you know the placement. So basically, all right, you have your ending port. That's your single crochet row. And you see how you have your bumps? So that's the first row of bumps, second row, and here's the third row. The bottom of the bolt's gonna align about with that third row. Okay, and let's see. Probably about here. Okay. So, what we want to do is hold your project about like this. Okay? And you want to stick your crochet hook right about here where it aligns with that third row of bumps. Let's see. Yeah, so put it through that stitch right about there. Okay, my camera had ran out of storage, so I am back now. So like I said, you want to go through the stitch that kind of aligns with the bottom of the mouth right here. All right, so we're going to attach our gray yarn, leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. Okay, and basically we're doing just a slip stitch to connect it. And we're going to chain one. And let's pull that. So, all right. So we're going to do a double crochet stitch into that same stitch. Okay, now we're going to do a double crochet in this spot right next to it. Since you're on the edging, it's a little wonky. But the thing is, you don't want to have the noticeable gaps. And we're going to do another double crochet kind of right here. And my thing's being ornery. It's kind of hard for me to get in that spot. Okay. Okay, there I go. Okay, and we're going to do one more double crochet. So basically you're going to have 4 double crochet stitches along that side wedge. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, and basically we're double crocheting into each one of those 4 stitches. One, 2, another double crochet, 3, and come on, go through that stitch. Okay. And 4. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, so in that first stitch, we're going to do 5 double crochet stitches. So that's 1. All right, the second one goes in that same stitch. 2. Here's the third one in that same stitch. We're increasing the row. 3. All right, same stitch. 4, and again same stitch. 5. Okay, so the next 2 stitches you're just going to do 1 double crochet stitch into them. So the second stitch, there's our double crochet. Now a double crochet in the 3rd stitch. Okay, and now we come to that last stitch. That last stitch we will do 5 double crochets into. So that's 1. Now my fingers are slipping. Okay. Now we're doing that second one in that same stitch. Three. Okay, that's 2, I'm sorry. This is gonna be 3. Okay. Now we're doing the 4th one, same stitch. Okay, and the last one, same stitch. Okay. So now we are going to, oops, I have the dropsies. Grab our scissors and cut the yarn, leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. And we're going to fasten off. We're going to do a slip stitch but pull the yarn through. There you go. Now we have our first bolt. And we're going to go to the other side and do the second bolt, which we're doing the same exact thing, but I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so you want to align your bolt on the other side with the bolt on this side here. So you basically kind of want to go straight over. And this is where my darning needle, so I worked that stitch. And then I went about 3 stitches up. And that's where I put this stitch marker. Okay. So, let me turn my piece. So where that stitch marker is, that's where you want to put your crochet hook. Right there. And you want to grab your gray yarn again. Okay, wrap it around your hook. Leave a long enough tail to weave in your end. And you want to pull through your stitch. Like that. And you can take the other part off. I just use that as a guide so I can try to align my bolts as evenly as possible. All right, so I'm going to chain one. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 double crochet stitches. So the first one is going to be in that same stitch that I connected the yarn to. Okay, and I'm going to pull the loose end. Okay, so then we double crochet into the next stitch. All right, so that's 2. Double crochet in the next stitch. So you want to kind of go right here. And it's going to kind of be hard to get your needle through. I mean your hook. There it goes. All right. And then double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so we have 4 double crochets now. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Okay. Let me kind of reposition here. Okay. So this row is the same. 1 double crochet stitch in each one of those 4 stitches. Okay, so that's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the third. And then here's one. And that last stitch. Okay, so we chain 1 and we turn. Okay, so if y'all recall, hold up, let me pull down some. I want to make sure I'm in camera range. That first stitch, you're going to do 5 double crochets. This increases your row. So that's the first one. All right, here's the second one in that same stitch. 2. Again, in that same stitch. 3, double crochet again, same stitch, 4, and 1 more in that same stitch, and 5. So the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet in each one of those 2 stitches. All right. That's the double crochet in the second stitch. Now on to the third stitch, 1 double crochet. And now we approach that last stitch again, and we're going to be doing 5 double crochet stitches into it. That's the first one, in that same stitch. 2, same stitch. 3, 4. All right, now we're going to do our last one in that same stitch. Okay, we have our 5th one. Now you want to cut your yarn, and again leave a long enough tail to weave in your end, and we're going to fasten off. Basically you do a chain and just pull it all the way through. Okay, so we now have the bolts crocheted on both sides of the scarf. So now it's time for the part of this tutorial that I know everyone has been looking so forward to. The weaving in the ends. Y'all love this part, don't y'all? All right, let me grab my darning needle, and basically I'm gonna walk y'all through a few to let y'all see how at least I weave in my ends. And y'all kind of saw it whenever we were doing the embroidery work. Okay, so when you're weaving in the ends, you want to thread your darning needle. And you're basically just going through part of the stitch. Like this. You see how I just kind of look for that bump. And I go through, and you want to go through enough stitches where you feel like your stitching should be secure. That should be enough. And let me find my scissors. And you just cut the excess yarn. And one thing that's very important, you don't want it to go through where you go too far into the stitch where your yarn's popping up on this side. Okay. I'm going to weave in the yarn on the bolt. I'm threading my needle again. Okay. And I just kind of go through. Didn't want to go through. Okay, what I'm going to do is just kind of go back the opposite direction. And I'm going to go the opposite direction again. I like how I'm using the gray. I like to stay in the gray area. Like, weave it in the gray. Okay, and nothing showed through. And I just cut that piece. I'll do this one. And I'm just going to go through the bumps here. And usually the side that I weave in my ends, I always consider that the back side. That's usually not the side that I want showing when I'm wearing something. I mean, some people are really good at weaving in ends where it's not noticeable at all. But I don't want anyone to notice that. So I always wear that where people can't see it, that side. Okay. So that should be enough to keep it secure. And I just cut the yarn. All right. Let's come up here. And I'll do one more after this. And I'm just going through. And sometimes you can do it. You see how I'm going through two areas at the same time? Okay, I'm going to work a little in the opposite direction. Okay, that should be good. Now I'm gonna cut that yarn. All right, one more. Let's do a green. The black's kind of harder to see. All right, thread that needle. And just find bumps you can go through that are close by. And I'm going to work in the opposite direction again. I mean, you can kind of do that back and forth thing. Like when you're working on more of a big area, it's easier where you know, you can just go straight. But typically, like how this is only over, I think this part was 5 stitches. I just want to make sure it's nice and secure. Okay. So just keep weaving in all your ends throughout the whole scarf, and we'll meet back up there. Okay, you should now have all your ends weaved in. Okay, for those that do not wish to add fringe to your scarf, this concludes the tutorial for those people. But I do want to remind everybody, make sure you submit your pictures of your finished scarf by the end of day on Monday, October 23rd. I will be doing the video of everyone's finished scarf pictures on Halloween Day, which is October 31st, and I plan to have the video scheduled to appear at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time that time. So don't forget to email your pictures to justanotherstitch2020@gmail.com. All right, for those that do want fringe, I'm going to show you how to attach the fringe. So I cut 272 strands of yarn. As you can see here, some of the strands here, and you kind of see some of them all over the place. Okay, I measured them to be about 18 inches. Now, they may not all measure perfectly, and that's okay. We're going to trim everything up after we apply all the fringe, and part of what builds character to your project is typically not all your fringe is going to be perfectly even. It just builds character to your project. So, okay. We're going to do groups of 4. At least that's what I'm doing. Now, if you want, you can also play around with your fringe. I'm doing it in every stitch with 4 strands. You could possibly do more strands, less strands if you want. I did all my strands in green. You could alternate, like maybe green and black, or green, black, and purple. You could also put all 3 colors, the green, black, and purple, in the same bunch. You could possibly not put the fringe in every stitch along the edge. It's really up to you, but if you're doing like what I do, that's what I did. Okay. So you want to turn your project on the back side, like I have it, okay? And you want to take your crochet hook through the stitch here, if it wants to cooperate with me. Let's work on this side first. Okay. So you see how I have my crochet hook like that? I'm going to grab my 4 strands of yarn and I'm going to try to line them up. They may not be perfectly aligned. And you want to take it where you have your strands like this, and you pull them off, all of them, through the stitch like this, and you want to make a good loop. Okay, now I want to take the ends again, try to line them up. The best that I can. Okay. And then you want to kind of do like this. And we're going to get some more practice. Okay. So you have your first piece on, and you see how it looks on the front. Okay, so we're going to find that next stitch, put your crochet hook like this, see the hook ports at the bottom, take another 4 strands of yarn, and again you want to try to line them up the best you can. And again, it's not going to be perfect. And if you can get them perfect, I want to know how. All right. So lay them on your crochet hook like this, and you pull them all through that stitch. And you want to make sure they all get through, because sometimes you get one that don't go through. All right, and you want to pull your loop up enough. Now you want to grab your bottom strands and try to line them up again. Okay, and then just kind of stretch it out to try to get it as even as you can. And basically, you see how the yarn is, you take it through the loop like that, and then you just pull and tighten everything up. It really isn't hard to add fringe, it's just time consuming. Now you want to take your crochet hook through that next stitch, grab another 4 strands of yarn, try to get them as even as you can, put them on top of your crochet hook like this, pull them all through the stitch, and I don't think they all went through. Maybe they did. Actually, okay, yeah, I did get it. Alright, grab your end pieces, try to line them up. And just kind of pull that. Alright. And again, you take your strands at the bottom, just pull them through your loop. Like this. Okay, and I'll do one more with y'all, just to make sure y'all know what to do. Put your crochet hook through like this. Grab another 4 strands. Try to get them as even as you can. And pull them through. Let's see. Yeah, I got them all to go through. Okay. And now you want to line up the ends again the best you can. Okay. And just pull through like this. And then tighten your knot up. Alright, and we're going to continue doing that. Finish going all the way through all the stitches at the bottom, and then you want to do the same thing on the other side of the scarf. And we'll meet back up once you have all the fringe connected, and I'll show you how to trim them up. Okay, you should have all the fringe attached now. And like I said, now we're just going to trim it up. So I'm going to grab a handful, and my helper's on the side of me. But he jumped back up on the table. And you see, I'm just going to trim them. I still have a few. Yeah. And then I'm gonna grab the next batch. And basically, you just keep doing this. You just try to get them about as even as possible, trimming them. And after that, you'll have a beautiful Frankie scarf for Halloween. And I do want to remind y'all again, make sure once you finish your scarf, you send a picture to me at justanotherstitch2020@gmail.com. And really, once you finish it, I recommend taking a picture as quickly as possible and sending it to me. But I need all pictures by the end of the day, Monday, October 23rd. And I'll be doing the video with all the pictures of everyone's completed scarves on Halloween Day, October 31st. And the video should be available at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to schedule it. So that concludes this Halloween crochet-along for the Frankie Scarf. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And be on the lookout for those of y'all that knit or just starting to knit for my Frankie beanie knit-along coming very soon. Well, probably will be up. It probably will have started by the time you get to this video. But go check that out if you're a knitter. Hope y'all all have a fabulous yarny day. Be the light, and bye.